Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talkin Boxing with Billy C on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talkin Boxing with Billy C show. Glad you could join us. Hey, don't forget, follow us on Twitter, will you? It's at Talkin Boxing. Let me spell it for you. TALKINBOXING. It would be great if you could follow us on Twitter. Get all your friends, family, and everybody, follow us on Twitter. We want it. We're trying to get 10,000 followers, and we're halfway there. So, hey, don't forget, if you're up in the Syracuse, New York area, there's a good show going on Saturday at the Holiday Inn. JKJ Boxing. Check it out, www.jkjboxing.com for all the tickets. Well, joining us right now, my man, Boxing Hall of Famer, the Athletic Commissioner of New Jersey, Larry Hazzard. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's happening, Billy?
Hey, did you hear that they finally signed that fight? I don't know if you caught that in the news or anything.
Come on, Billy. How could I not hear that? That's the talk. That's the old talk of boxing now, man.
Hey, I called it the last time you were on this show. Yes. I said it was going to happen, right? And you said,
yes,
really
good. Yes,
and I did. And I was at the Boxino tournament, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Guess what? The fight's happening." I'm like, "What fight?" I wasn't even thinking of that. I was thinking of something. It's a conference right now about the fight, and I'm like, "What fight?" And he goes, "The Mayweather Pacquiao fight." I went, "Oh, hey, I knew that. I knew it was gonna happen." Try to play it cool and stuff. But what's your thoughts, man? I mean, listen.
This is the exciting. You know what, Billy? The fight itself, in my opinion, is no way going to live up to the hype. Do you realize for the next 60 days at least, boxing is going to be center stage once again? It's such a wonderful feeling. I mean, everybody's talking about the fight. Okay? Everybody's talking about the fight, man. This is how long have we been talking about this?
6 years.
Boxing is now center stage again. Our cultural sport of boxing is now the talk of the town once again. It's just great. And by the time this fight takes place, I mean, the barbershops, the beauty parlors, the street corners, the bars, everywhere, everybody, who's going to win? Everywhere I go, Larry, who's going to win the fight? It's just an exciting time for our sport once again, and I am elated. This is great. And then, of course, I'm listening to the radio, and they're doing the promos on, the Al Haymon, NBC. The fights are back on TV. I mean, it's just a great time for our sport once again, man. And I just hope that it just keeps going on and on and on. And I just hope that Al Haymon is successful with his endeavor. And I think that the enthusiasm and the interest in our sport is once again going to be seen in the gyms around the country. Kids are going to become interested in our sport again, and the sport of boxing is going to come alive again like it once was. The fight itself, I've been saying it all along, I don't think that this fight is going to come anywhere near the hype that's going to be generated. Can you imagine? They'll probably have about 15,000 people at the weigh-in. People who won't even go to the fight, just come to get pictures, autographs, and things of that nature. And the fight itself, probably a halfway decent fight, but nowhere near the hype that's going to be generated. So I'm just feeling great about it, man.
I agree with you. And, it's funny because this fight could catapult boxing back to where we hope. But now it's up to all of these. It's so hard because I think it would be fairly easy to get boxing back to at least pick up a lot of steam in its popularity. And this is such a hard thing for us to expect, but if some of these promoters would just ease up a little on the greed, and if some of these guys would just ease up a little on the overcautiousness and just give the fans some good fights, I think it would just click. If they continue to do some of the things that had pushed these fans away. Because remember something, a fight like this brings back all these fans. And Larry, you gotta encounter it like I do. You know, when I talk to somebody and you know, hey, what do you do about, and you start saying what the business you're in and all of this, I mean, I could bet my last dollar that somebody's gonna say, oh, you know what? I used to be a boxing fan. You know, I used to watch it, and you know, generally Tyson was the last time and stuff. This is the type of fight that gets those used to watch boxings back into it, and I think that we need to take advantage of it collectively as a sport, as a business. We need people to start putting these exciting fights together, and it almost seems like it's happening. You know, you got Matisse, Prodognikov mentioning, you know, they're fighting on the 18th. You know, we saw Triple G over the weekend. You know, like you mentioned, the Al Haymon series are all kicking off. You know, I think it could happen.
It is going to happen. That's the key. And I think these guys are finally getting the message, because everything that you just said, plus, you know, the power of that television, Billy, that Al Haymon series is very, very important, because that's where the interest is. When people start talking, hey, you're going to watch the fight Saturday afternoon, and then maybe hopefully at some point it'll come back on Sunday again. This is where people, the old fans, become familiar with the talent. And it's important that you have good fights. And the interest will be rekindled in our sport. It's starting to happen, and they have to keep it going. That's why I think that everybody in the industry should get behind that series and to just try to get their fighters involved. However it happens, those promoters, they all have to start trying to work together a little bit more, get their fighters involved, get them on that screen, because this is where the fans become familiar with the names, who's fighting. Once again, fans will be familiar with the fighters. And like you said, oftentimes, you know, you run into people, you mention the sport of boxing, and say, oh, you know, I don't watch the sport that much no more. You know, the fighters aren't like they used to be, you know, this and that. So we could get back to that again. People are beginning to know who Wilder is, because, you know, boxing has always kind of survived on the back of the heavyweights. And, you know, we have a heavyweight champion again, and I've been waiting for a fighter like Wilder to come along, because I think that Wilder can beat Klitschko. And if he beats Klitschko, that's going to really boost our sport, especially here in the United States again. And I feel that Wilder has all of the equipment to get it done. I always said I'm looking for that heavyweight with a good jab and some size, okay? And I don't mean bulk, because bulk does not always translate into power. But Wilder has size and he has power. He has height and power. And I think he has the equipment to beat Klitschko. And if he fights Klitschko at some point and beats Klitschko, which I think he will, the sport of boxing, especially here in the United States, is going to go right back to the top again. And so I'm very excited about what's going on. Everything's happening all at one time, and it's just an exciting time for us now. With this Pacquiao, Mayweather finally getting off the ground, Al Haymon, the tournament, you know, I mean, you know, the tournaments that are going on the ESPN, you know, now the series that Al Haymon's putting together, boxing is becoming center stage again. Combative sports overall. I mean, even MMA is big, the UFC, all over the place. And it's going to kindle, the interest is going to be back. I feel very confident that it's going to happen.
I think the key is the word that you've used, you know, just a couple of minutes ago, excitement. I think that's the key with the fights. Yes, there's excitement around the sport right now because the fight that the fans have been longing for and begging for and really, you know, they made happen because of the demand that they did. I think that it's up, and that I think this is my main point, that I think it's up to the promoters and the fighters to fight, to make some exciting fights. Yes, we just got announced, it was just announced that Lucas Batiste and Ruslan Prodannikov are fighting. That's an exciting fight.
That's an exciting fight.
Exactly. We just saw Triple G the other night, and let's talk about, we're going to be talking about Floyd and Manny for the next 2 months, okay? So we know that. 3 months. But let me ask you this. Triple G. I think this guy's the real deal, Larry.
He is the real deal.
Yeah, I noticed some things now, and we've been hearing different comments from different people, and I was shocked to hear that there's not that few either. There's several people out there that feel that he's ducking fighters. He doesn't have the talent. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have head movement. I tell you what I see. I see a well-rounded fighter similar to Kovalev. I don't see just a one-dimensional power puncher. I see a guy that we always talk about ring generalship, right? I think Triple G is the definition of ring generalship. When we were watching the fight this past weekend, Martin Murray's a quality fighter. Every time Martin Murray moved to his right, Triple G was there. He moves to his left, Triple G is there. He tries to, hold on and clinch. Triple G takes a step backwards and then hits him again. I think the guy is the complete package, and I don't believe it's his fault that some of these other guys aren't fighting him. The two guys in boxing that people avoid like the plague is Triple G and Sergey Kovalev.
He beats everybody who you put in front of him, and you can't blame him for who's willing to fight him. He's not ducking anyone. I don't agree with any of the criticism that I've been hearing. He virtually reduced Murray to a punching bag. He showed he hasn't even reached his peak yet, and he showed all of his versatility in that fight. As you say, everywhere Murray went, there he was, and Murray the fight could have been stopped. I'm listening to Harold Letterman. He had him down by like 10 points at one point in the fight, and Murray, he reduced Murray to a point where he wasn't even competitive. And Murray is not a bad fighter, but he reduced him to a punching bag. So what do people want? Sometimes you become a victim of your success, and I think that's a little bit of what Triple G is. Here's this guy hasn't even peaked yet, and there's more to see from this. I think eventually he's going to clean out the middleweight division, and then hopefully a big money fight is going to develop for him, maybe at the next weight class, and he'll go up there and show you even more talent. So I'm not surprised at the criticisms, because you're always going to get that. Success brings that. Well, but this guy, in my opinion, is the real deal, and I rank him among the top 5 fighters in the sport of boxing right now. I put him right in that top 5.
What did you think of the corner? And I agree with you, and I agree with Harold's score. Listen, I'm not going to get into. I thought Jim Lampley was just horrific. Him and Roy, I don't know what's happened to them, but how do you? Jim Lampley is going by punch stats that are being reported to him from a studio in New York. How do you? And he's sitting there. Why he can't call the action? What's happened? It makes me sick. But what's your thoughts on the corner? And they're keeping the kid in there. At what point does a corner say, listen, you can't hurt this guy. You're down, like Harold Letterman said. I only scored the 1 round for him as well. When do you save your fighter? Some people are suggesting that, Martin Murray did more than just lose that fight. He might have left a piece of his life in there. That was, what's your thoughts on this corner, just letting that go?
Well, I've seen a lot of fighters' careers ended in a fight like that. But forget about the corner, because corners, a lot of times, you find a lot of brave cornermen.
Yep.
A lot of brave trainers, a lot of brave, cornermen, period. What about the referee? Okay? That's what the referee is in there for. The referee is the man who's in there whose sole responsibility is to protect the health and safety of the fighter. You don't compromise with the corner and wait for the corner to stop a fight. That's the referee's responsibility. And for some reason, some of these referees just don't get it. You know, they go into debates with the corner. The referee is supposed to be trained to know this kid has had enough. You don't have to wait for the corner. And now you're talking about the commentating on that fight. Sometimes I think the commentators get a little apologetic when a fighter doesn't really live up to their expectations. So, they want to protect the network and make the fight appear to be more competitive than it really is, because that fight was really not a competitive fight. And I think that instead of praising the referee at the time when he did stop the fight, okay, the referee should have stopped that fight a round or maybe 2 or 3 rounds earlier. That's the referee's responsibility. Cornermen, I learned long time ago when I was refereeing, don't depend on corners, because those are the bravest people that you'll find in boxing. They're not taking the punches, so they're very brave. So that's where I see that. I don't place that impetus on the corner. I place it on the referee, and maybe that's because of the position from which I come. But that's always been my feelings on that, and that's the purpose of the referee, to protect the health and safety of the fighter.
I thought the referee didn't do the greatest job, and not just for that. I agreed with him stopping the fight. I wouldn't have argued if he stopped it sooner.
Absolutely.
But there was a couple of instances in that fight. At one point, he actually was waving at one of the officials, like, beyond the fighters, and both fighters looked at him like he thought that they were waving at him. I mean, you don't do that. You get in a position to if he had to do something, he's got to get in a different position. He kept messing up with the 10. It was a weird 10-second warning. It's almost sounded like another bell, but remember when he stopped the action, then he started it again?
Yeah.
And I think he missed a couple of, as much as I love Triple G, in the beginning of that fight, it seemed like he was leading with his head. I hate to say somebody's doing it intentionally, but it certainly looked like he should have been warned. He should have gotten a strong warning, a stern warning. But
well, I just have a problem with referees who just don't appear to have the courage to step in and stop a fight when they see that a fighter has had too much. It seems like they want to be pacifists and apologetic to corners. You can't rely on the corner to stop a fight.
No.
You just can't.
No. And you're right about the commentating, because they kept saying, well, I guess we're seeing a lot of holes in the game tonight. That's going to hopefully, get some of these other fighters to call up Triple G. And I'm saying to myself, huh? What fight are they watching?
What fight are you watching? I mean, Triple G, Triple G reduced Murray to a punching bag. Okay? Murray had nothing to offer. So that's, they're apologizing. They're making the fight appear to be more competitive than it really was. And that's the way this is the way they protect the network. Oh no, this is a great fight. Don't believe your eyes, believe us.
well, it was. They weren't. What they were saying was, I think Triple G is showing a lot of holes in his game. He's got some chinks in his armor, and I'm saying to myself, huh? What fight are they watching? They are there, aren't they? And I'm saying, what do you mean? This guy, and I'm thinking of a lot of conversations that we have, you and I on this show, and that term ring generalship always comes up, and I'm saying to myself, what a display of ring generalship right here, baby. I mean, this guy is doing everything. When he had the wherewithal, when you're you see, he's he's the cool cucumber right there, because when he's beating his opponent to a pulp, and his opponent tries to hold on, what does he do? Most fighters, their adrenaline is jacked up, and they go forward. They're trying to get the kill, and then next thing you know, that everything's neutralized, right? Because the opponent holds him. Not Triple G. He takes a step backwards. Now the guy can't hold on, and he lands 4 or 5 more shots. You know, I mean,
he's in charge, man. Yeah. He's in charge all the way.
Yeah, no doubt. Another thing I wanted to get to real quick before we let you go, to time flies, is the tournament, the heavyweight tournament, the Boxino tournament. Now, I love this format. I love all the tournament formats, actually, but I love the Boxino. It's been great. It's been very entertaining and everything. And for for the record, the heavyweights that we watched on Friday.
No.
Well, what I'm going to say is, for heavyweights at that level, generally you see some stinky fights. You see some real stink fests. And with that in mind, I thought that they were good. But I did have a slight issue with it. Every other fight that we've seen with the Boxino tournament, going from last year and also the junior middleweights for this year, I think all of the fights have been like 50-50. You really don't know, man. Occasionally there's one guy that sticks out that you think's going to win. But I thought that these fights were very predictable before the first bell. Every single one of them, and pretty much everyone came out the way most of us thought. What do you think?
Well, I tell you the truth, I thought the heavyweights really stunk. I thought all three, all of those fights, those heavyweights. I said, well, the top heavyweights out there, they can sleep. They can sleep very comfortably if this group here represents, any challenge whatsoever. Especially, I forgot the guy's name, Buddy McGurk's, the big guy.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable, man. Yeah. He stunk that place out.
He was like one of the favorite. Razvan Khanadu.
Yeah, what? Jano?
Kajano or something.
Like
Kajanu, yeah. He's actually supposed to come on the show tomorrow, but he's he says in the post fight he's going, I didn't listen to my trainer, well, you're lucky that you didn't get at it, but even some of the judging, though, I didn't think that fight was as close as it was. I was sitting right there, maybe it looked closer on TV. I give Jason Estrada some credit for taking the fight on a couple of days' notice. And then, when you look at Fedosov, he looks like he's going to just win this thing very easily. And I'm not, I don't think he's that great to begin with,
Nah. I wasn't impressed by any of those heavyweights, Billy, to be honest with you.
Well, you're going to see a couple more of them. they got to fight each other. You're going to see at least 2 more fights. So I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But I agree with you.
My standard's a little high for the heavyweight division.
Yeah, but you know what the thing is? You know what you got to do? You got to give all these fighters that are willing to get into a format like this, because remember, you know how it is, man. You call up, you try to make a fight, right? You call up, hey, I got so-and-so, you want to fight him? Oh, no, I don't want to fight him. I don't want to fight him.
Not easy.
Yeah, no, that's not what we're looking for. What are you looking for? You want me to pull the IV out and drag him in? Is that what you're looking for? I mean, so I at least give these guys credit for signing on the paper, knowing that they could fight any of the other guys. You know what I mean? So I do give them credit for that. But, I told you, I had recently. Oh, maybe I didn't. Recently, I had a guy. He's 1-0. Okay, he's a 1-0 fighter, and they want to put him in with a pro debut fighter. And the guy says, the 1-0 guy says, "Oh no, I don't want to fight him. I don't know nothing about him." And it's like, what do you mean? You're a 1-0 fighter. What does he know about you? You're not a 20-0 fighter. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I just don't get it. And it wasn't like this was some, Olympian super duper amateur. It was actually an MMA guy that was, so it's like a tough man type fighter. And I just don't get it. The mentality is so different. But hey, we got a lot of good stuff on the horizon, don't we?
Yes, it looks good. It looks promising, and I think if we keep the momentum going in the direction it's going in, we're going to be back. I'm very enthusiastic about it.
Well, I am too, my man. And listen, speaking of being back, we're not going to be here at all next week. I'm actually going to France for a fight, and we'll be back on Tuesday, the 10th. So we won't have you next Thursday, but the Thursday after.
Okay, no problem.
All right, brother. Keep up the good work. All right.
Okay, Billy.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
That's my man, Larry Hazzard. And he's excited. And everybody should be excited. You know, I mean, this is a good time for the sport, and it's a needed time. And he's right. You know, a lot of things seem to be falling in place with the Al Haymon TV things. We got a lot of fights scheduled this week is indicative of that. Dax Khan's going to join us in a couple of minutes here and give us the weekend boxing schedule roundup. And we got some good fights coming up next week. And I don't know, man. Is this what we've been waiting for? You know, I mean, maybe so. Maybe so. I'm going to take a short break. I'll be back in 2.
Talking